Liveries are a bigger part of F1 than you think. The biggest visual expression a team can have, holding a team's reputation and history through different colors, patterns, and schemes. They're more than just a silly design. Teams like Mercedes simply being known as the Silver Arrows, or Ferrari being characterized as their signature Rosso Corsa red, their identities are synonymous with these visual cues that we hold on to. Also, one-off liveries are more popular than ever right now, at races that are special to a team, or where they team up with a sponsor to make a stunning livery, or even just expressing themselves for a home race. In the day and age where F1 is becoming complicated and controversial, I thought, why not take a step back and answer the question, what is every F1 team's best livery? Now, there are a few things I want to clear up before I bring up my opinion, that these liveries are going to be tied to a team in a certain way. Just because a team got bought out and changed names does not mean it's the same team, but a rebrand is still the same team. For example, Racing Bulls would include the current RB team, AlphaTauri, and Toro Rosso, but it wouldn't go back to Minardi, as that was a different team entirely. This is mainly because those other teams had completely different identities and they aren't really in the same category to compare. Also, I'm actually going to be choosing two liveries per team, a one-off livery and a normal one. I think it's a bit unfair to group the two together, as part of the reason the one-off liveries are so loved is because they aren't around all the time. Like, imagine a white Red Bull was kicking around all year. Oh, wait, it is. Anyways, you get my point. The novelty of the one-off livery will be a separate category to keep some order, and remember, these are opinions, so leave your favorite F1 livery in the comments below. Red Bull is first up, and they aren't specifically known for switching up their livery too much. They're characterized by a single livery for each era, as they don't really switch it up from year to year, but rather when a whole new car comes around. This means the options are the cars from 2007 to 2008, 2009 to 2011, 2012 to 2015, 2016 to 2021, and 2022 to current. To me, the standouts of this group have to be the 2012 to 2015 car and the 2016 to 2021. But the early 2010s livery is just too good. The purple tinge they have makes them so much more vibrant than normal, and it goes really well with the shape of the car. The Infinity sponsor on the side is iconic, and it just pulls the whole thing together. But I think this livery as a top choice is decently popular. For the one-off liveries, it's a bit tougher of a choice, because Red Bull has had so many good ones. Instant ones that come to mind are the white Red Bull used in both 2021 and 2025, the 2023 USA ones, or some of the more odd ones, like Star Wars in 2005 or Superman in 2006. Another thing to include is that they have had some testing liveries that weren't run in official races, but do look great, such as the 2015 Jerez livery, and as a matter of fact, one of the testing liveries is actually my choice, and that's the 2018 one. The blue, black, and white is not something we see with Red Bull, but it just looks so aggressive, and it really is a shame that it was never used in a race. And to be honest, I think it really could have worked well as an AlphaTauri livery a couple years ago, with some minor tweaks. But I suppose since this one wasn't an actual used one, I'll choose another. The three they used for the USA races in 2023 were a bit meh in my mind. The Miami one looks like a bowling alley carpet, and the Austin one just doesn't look right. But the Vegas livery does look decent, bringing back that purple. But how can you deny the white Red Bull cars? They ran these three times actually, once in 2008, 2021, and 2025. But I have to say the best one is 2025. Just too clean. McLaren is probably the most spoiled team in terms of iconic liveries. The iconic Marlboro liveries from 70s all the way to the late 90s, everyone's favorite chrome Vodafone color scheme in the late 2000s, and even the papaya we're exposed to now. There hasn't really been a bad era for McLaren, even though they have made such drastic changes. But it might be an unpopular opinion, but none of these are my favorite. It's actually what bridged the gap between Marlboro and the chrome. The silver and black cars used in the McLaren Mercedes from 1997 to 2005 just have something special about it. The McLaren logos on the top of the side pod, and the occasional times of putting the drivers' names on the side of the car when racing in a country that tobacco sponsorships were banned, are something that adds a special touch that we never really see nowadays. Now, for the one-off liveries, McLaren has really started using them a lot more in recent years. The pink OKX one from Japan a couple years ago, the Senna Tribute in Monaco, and the Triple Crown liveries are only a few of what have been not so novel one-off liveries. To me, the best actually comes from the same season, and that's 2021. The Abu Dhabi livery made changes to only the side pods, front wing, and engine cover, but it made a huge difference in enhancing the car in my mind. And who can forget the 2021 Gulf livery in Monaco? One of the best to ever exist. And if I had to choose one, it would probably be the Gulf. Ferrari isn't exactly known for switching it up very much when it comes to their liveries, but I think that's a good thing most of the time. They keep that identity of being the red team, and every year they incorporate it well to make some of the most clean liveries we'll ever see. Because there's minimal difference in design, most of the choice comes down to how sponsors are incorporated and how the body shape fits the car, and there are a few standouts to me. The 1989 and 1991 Ferrari with the black front wing, 2003 to 2005 with the red and white, and in my mind, even though it's recent, is the 2022 Ferrari. I don't think many liveries went well with the curved surface that the new cars have, but the solid red with the black accents is just so elegant and works well with sponsors, unlike the current with HP. On the other hand though, the whole schema of red doesn't play as well with one-off liveries. They stick to the red look so the one-offs aren't exactly groundbreaking. They pull out some crazy looking race suits like Miami 2024 and Monza 2022, and then they just slightly tweak a couple spots, adding a bit of blue or yellow respectively. I will say the yellow works well and looks good, but it doesn't have the same pull that some of the other teams have. As a matter of fact, they actually did run a yellow car back in the day, and I wish they replicated it with the modern car. But I can understand why you'd want to preserve the heritage behind the red. The only one that comes to mind are the 2023 Vegas car and the 2020 1000th GP Burgundy, but if I had to choose one occurrence that was the best, it'd have to be the Vegas 2023. Whiting out all the sponsors, especially for a well-lit race night, it does glow, and it doesn't really have any clashing colors like normal. Mercedes is another team that doesn't switch it up too often, and it doesn't really have too many one-offs either. But like Ferrari, they're known for their signature silver and Petronas blue color scheme. They really have had the same design every year since rejoining F1, till when they switched to black in 2020, and then went back to the silver in 2022, with the exception of 2023. Considering how the new cars look, it has to be one of the turbo hybrid eras. I mean, the 2022 car in specific wasn't bad, but the zero side pod design made any livery look like something that only a mother could love. I can't not choose a silver livery because that's what Mercedes is synonymous with in my head, and the best to me has to be 2018. The silver with the turquoise streaks are perfect for the natural shape of the car, and it has the perfect balance of not too much Petronas blue, but uses streaks to be minimal yet have a large impact on the design. As for the one-off liveries, there aren't many to choose from. We had the Singapore 2024 one where they just made the turquoise more prevalent, and Belgium 2022 where they just changed the number. The obvious choice is their Germany 2019 livery, where they went with a white design as a tribute to Mercedes being a German company. Sleek, clean, and different enough to warrant being a one-off. When I was brainstorming for this idea while driving home the other day, I genuinely couldn't think of a one-off livery Aston Martin has had since the rebrand in 2021, and I really thought I was going crazy. But as soon as I looked it up, I realized Aston Martin has only ever had one-off livery in the last 5 years, and that was Silverstone 2023. And I don't really know how much of a one-off special livery you can call it. All it is the extra sponsoring and the fin on the back, and even though it hasn't changed much, it's enough to make it worse in my eyes, but by technicality, it is their best one-off. As for normal liveries, I think you could guess that I quite like Aston Martin colors by the color I use for everything on my channel. All the liveries in Aston Martin have been the same with a few minor tweaks, but I have to say 2021 is my favorite. They have a slightly darker green color, and the strip of pink from the BWT sponsorship ties it all together, as opposed to a whole pink car, like Racing Point had in 2020, which I am including as part of this. I like this pink line a lot better than the yellow that they've had in the past few years that just makes me think of John Deere. Anyways, 2021 takes it for me, and is honestly one of my favorite liveries of all time. I'll be the first one to say it, but I just hate the Alpine liveries ever since they teamed up with BWT. The pink and blue just don't go together in my mind, and I know many people like it, but I just can't come around on it. The only time I think it worked was in the 2024 car, and that's because they were both not the main colors of the car, as it was mostly carbon. Anyways, I'm really happy that I get to include Renault as part of this, because the only Alpine livery I like is 2021. I have to go with the 2006 Renault because it's not normal to have vibrant colors work like it does on this car. The yellow and blue have been immortalized by Fernando Alonso, and the livery was a good one to win in. The only other one that really crossed my mind was the 2020 livery, but not the normal one, the testing one. It was all black with subtle details, and although simple, it was easy on the eyes. As for one-offs, the truth is, Renault didn't have many, and they only really come about after the rebrand, and the best one in my opinion is the recent Deadpool one. And that's because it doesn't remotely look like an Alpine car at all. The livery was made because Ryan Reynolds, the actor for Deadpool, is a minority stakeholder in the team, and the red and black with hints of yellow was a perfect color scheme to run around Spa, and it gave us a temporary break from the Candyland colors that they usually use. Haas has been in F1 for what feels like not too long, even though we're coming up on 10 full seasons, and their liveries haven't changed too much. With the exception of 2019, they followed the same color scheme of white, red, gray, and black, with some sprinkles of blue here and there. The real good ones were the ones that strayed a bit, specifically 2019 with the black and gold, and 2021 with the Ural Kali sponsorship. Honestly, if you look past the 2021 car having a flag as the color scheme, and truly just look at it as colors part of the design, it's a good looking car, and probably the best of the bunch. It really is just a shame though that it was so slow, because the only time we got to see the car on track was when there were lap 5 blue flags, or they were 3 feet deep in a tire barrier. As for one-offs, they haven't had too many, with them all coming 2022 and onwards at the US GP each year, and this season in Canada to celebrate their 200th GP. And my choice for best has to be Japan's Cherry Blossom car. Just a great design from a team that's had pretty lackluster livery choices in the past, and it's a really pleasant surprise. Seems like whatever he does, Esteban Ocon can't escape a pink livery, but this time, it definitely looks better. Like I mentioned in the intro, Racing Bulls also has Toro Rosso and AlphaTauri to pick and choose from, and that's quite the scary lineup when it comes to good liveries. The 2019 Toro Rosso might be one of the most beautiful cars to ever grace the track, and the 2007 Toro Rosso with the bull on the side was also incredible, but I didn't choose either of those. None of the AlphaTauri cars really impressed me, as I think the navy doesn't work with so much carbon on the cars, and that only leaves one iteration of the team left. Interestingly enough, it isn't this year's white Red Bull, because I don't really like the current Red Bull car, specifically with the nose having too much of this yellow bit right here. So just copying it over and changing it to white didn't really please me very much. I'm actually talking about the 2024 V-Carb. When I tell you this is one of my favorite liveries ever, I'm not lying. The bluish purple along with the white and red makes a classic mix of a classic Williams livery and a Toro Rosso, and I just love it. As for one-off liveries, I also have to go with another Racing Bulls one, as neither Toro Rosso or AlphaTauri even had one to choose from, other than Vegas 2023. The one I'll choose isn't the Red Bull Wildberry car we saw in Miami. I'm choosing the graffiti design in Silverstone. The graffiti art makes a cartoony feel, and with the white paint, it looks like one of those two-dimensional art things. I don't really know what those are because I have no clue about art, but I can tell you it looks cool, and so does the livery. Williams is another history-rich team in F1, and they've had some great liveries just like McLaren over the years. Some incredible cars like the Canon FW14B or the red FW20 are iconic cars in the team's history, but I didn't choose those. Also, the 2014 to 2018 Martini liveries are very slept on in my opinion, as it reminds me of the Martini Porsches, but it's still not enough to get that top spot, because that has to go to the Rothmans Williams in 1996. Although it's not quite as iconic as the Canon car, this one did win a championship and looked great while doing it with its sleek blue and white design with red and gold highlights. It was just perfect. On the other hand, for one-offs, Williams didn't really enter the game until recently. They did have their Sonic the Hedgehog situation in 1993, but they just slapped on a couple Sega logos, and the real gimmick was the red shoes that they wore to match Sonic. Otherwise, there are only a few more recent ones, and the only ones that changed the whole car was the Gulf livery. I hate to put two of the same livery on this list, but the truth is that it's different enough from the McLaren one, and also, the only other options are a bit of yellow or the Great Britain flag. Anyways, I do have to give props for keeping the Duracell battery. Sauber has had many sagas with them being a standalone team, and also partnerships with BMW, Alfa Romeo, and now Kick that have all commandeered their liveries. But spoiler alert, both of the choices I made come from the same line. The only real considerations I have are the BMW and Alfa Romeo cars, and as good as the 2007 BMW Sauber car is, I just really love the 2022 Alfa Romeo car. Making this video, I'm really starting to realize how much I like these more recent liveries, and the red and white with the slightest hint of green on the clover really represents Alfa Romeo well, and the text is also really nice. For the one-off, it's another Alfa Romeo car, specifically the 2023 Vegas instance. Considering this was the first Sauber and Stake partnership, it was no shock that the gambling livery would go hard, and the different suits on cards on the back are a really nice touch. It has really good attention to detail and encompasses Vegas like no other. It's just a real shame that they spent more time on the paint than they did the car that year.